I never thought something as simple as lending my car to a friend would completely ruin my life. I mean, it was just a car, right? But looking back, I see it was the moment that set everything into motion. I didn't realize how deep the hole I was digging myself into was until it was way too late. It all started about a year ago. I'd known Greg since high school. We weren't exactly best friends, but we got along fine. We had the occasional drink, shared a few laughs, nothing extraordinary. But there was always this thing about him. He'd somehow always find himself in trouble. And it wasn't like it was something small. I mean, it was always a mess, but he'd get himself out of it. Always. Some people have that kind of luck, I guess. But this time, Greg had reached a new level of desperation. One evening, out of nowhere, Greg calls me. It was late. I was already in bed. He's panicked. His girlfriend, Emily, had left him. He didn't know why. 1 second, they were fine. The next, she was gone. He needed to talk to her. And the only way to get to her place was through my car. Now, I don't usually lend my stuff out, especially not something as important as my car. It's not that I don't trust Greg, it's just that I've seen him borrow things before, and it rarely ends well. But that night, I don't know, something in his voice made me want to help. I thought, hey, it's just a car. What's the worst that could happen? I told him, sure, just make sure you bring it back in one piece. We hung up, and I went to sleep. The next morning, I wake up to a text from Greg. Man, I'm so sorry, but I kinda had an accident. The car's in bad shape. That was it. No further explanation. I didn't know what to make of it. I rushed outside, and when I saw the car, my heart sank. It was more than just a bad shape. The front bumper was smashed in, the headlights were broken, and the hood was bent. This wasn't a small fender bender. This was serious. I called Greg. No answer. I texted him. Still no reply. A few hours go by, and nothing. Looking back, this was my biggest mistake. The whole situation was a mess from the start. I should have never given him my keys. Eventually, Greg shows up around noon, acting like nothing's wrong. Yo, what's up, man? He says, as if I'm the one overreacting. I try to keep my cool. I ask him about the car. His face drops when he realizes I've seen the damage. He starts giving me some half-baked excuse about how it wasn't his fault. But he wasn't even making sense. I wanted to scream at him, but I didn't want to escalate things. After a few minutes of awkward silence, he finally admits it wasn't just a random accident. He'd been speeding, trying to catch up to Emily. He had gotten into a chase with some guy she was seeing behind his back. Apparently, the guy's a mechanic or something, and Greg didn't stand a chance in the race. I was in disbelief. Not only had he ruined my car, but he'd also put it all on the line for something so petty. But the worst part, it wasn't even the car. Greg starts telling me how he needs my help to fix things with Emily. He wants me to talk to her on his behalf because apparently I'm more reasonable. At that moment, I knew I should have walked away, but instead, I agreed. I figured, what could it hurt? A few days later, I show up at Emily's apartment. When she opens the door, her expression says it all. She's pissed, but she's trying to be polite. I try to smooth things over, explain how Greg's been a wreck, and how he really wants to make things work. She cuts me off mid-sentence. I know what Greg's been up to, she says, her voice flat. I'm not here to talk about him anymore. I'm done. I stand there like an idiot, trying to come up with something to say. That's when she drops the bombshell. He cheated on me with my best friend, and he didn't even try to hide it. I caught them red-handed. My stomach drops. I don't even know how to respond. I want to defend Greg, but I don't have anything to say. She's already made up her mind, and I can see it in her eyes. There's no going back for them. But now the story starts to get really messed up. I go back to Greg and tell him what Emily said. He doesn't seem surprised, like he already knew. But instead of taking responsibility, he gets angry with me. Why the hell would you tell her that? He yells, you should have stuck to the plan. You messed everything up. It's like a switch flipped. I thought I was helping my friend, but now it feels like I'm caught in the middle of some insane drama. Greg doesn't care about the car, or the fact that he's about to lose Emily. All he cares about is how I messed up his chances of fixing things. That was the moment I realized Greg had been playing me the entire time. I wasn't just a guy he could lean on for support, I was a pawn in his game of manipulation. At that point, I had a choice to make: walk away and let things play out, or try to fix it all, knowing there was no fixing anything. And so, I made a decision that would change everything. But at the time, I thought I was doing the right thing. So, I chose to stay. And that's when things really spiraled. I should have known better. There were red flags everywhere. But I kept telling myself, Greg's my friend. He needs me. I ignored the gut feeling that this was a situation I should get out of before it dragged me down with it. Instead, I ended up getting sucked deeper into this mess. Greg came up with a new plan. His exact words were, "I need you to help me get Emily back. She trusts you. If you can talk to her again, I'll pay you back for the car." I swear, I should have told him to shove it. I should have walked away and cut ties right then and there. But no, I agreed to it. I thought maybe, just maybe, I could help him fix his relationship. But every time I tried, it just got worse. The next time I went to see Emily, it was like she knew I was there to play mediator. Her eyes narrowed when I walked in. She didn't want to hear it. "What is this? Another one of Greg's schemes?" She snapped. "You think I'm just going to let him back in after everything he did?" And honestly, who could blame her? She'd caught him cheating with her best friend. A betrayal that went beyond the affair itself. He'd lied, manipulated, and hurt her. And now he was trying to use me to fix his mess. I was starting to feel like I was just as bad as him, getting involved in something that was none of my business. But I kept going, trying to convince Emily that Greg was sorry, and that maybe they could work things out. I think, deep down, I wanted to prove I could fix this. I wanted to believe that if I just kept pushing, everything would fall into place. It didn't. Emily finally said something that made me stop in my tracks. "Greg doesn't even care about me. He's been lying to me the whole time. He never loved me. He just didn't want to lose control over me." It hit me hard. Greg had been playing me like a fiddle, and I'd let him. He wasn't looking to get his relationship back because he loved Emily. He just didn't want her to move on, because if she did, his whole world would collapse. That's when everything clicked into place. The reason he'd borrowed my car, the reason he'd called me up in the middle of the night, the reason he'd asked me to talk to Emily. He didn't want to face the consequences of his actions. He wanted to avoid accountability at all costs, and I had been his shield. I couldn't believe it. I was that guy, the one who gets dragged into someone else's drama and gets their hands dirty trying to fix things that were never meant to be fixed. When I got back to Greg, I laid it all out for him. I told him what Emily had said. I told him I was done playing this game. He didn't take it well. "You can't just leave me hanging like this," he yelled. "You owe me, man. You said you'd help me." I couldn't look at him the same way anymore. I didn't care about his car problems or his pathetic attempts to get Emily back. He wasn't my friend anymore. He was just a guy who dragged me into his mess and then tried to make me feel guilty for not solving it. But here's the kicker. Even though I cut ties with Greg after that, the damage was already done. My reputation with Emily, ruined. She couldn't look at me without seeing someone who had, in her eyes, betrayed her trust by trying to save a guy who didn't deserve saving. And as for Greg, he completely ghosted me after that. It wasn't even a thanks for trying or good luck. He just vanished. The last thing I heard from him was a vague text saying, "You'll never understand." Months went by. I thought the whole thing would blow over, but it didn't. Greg had left a mess, and I had somehow ended up in the middle of it, holding the pieces. I lost touch with Emily completely. She moved on with her life, and I never saw Greg again. I figured it was over, but life has a funny way of making sure you don't forget. It wasn't until one day, when I bumped into Emily at a coffee shop, that the truth really hit me. She looked different, stronger, more confident, like she'd found peace. We made small talk, but there was a moment when I could see in her eyes that she wasn't angry at me anymore. She'd moved on, and I was just a shadow in her past. She looked at me and said, "You know, Greg's been calling me again, still trying to get back in my life, but I'm done with him, for good." That moment was surreal. I felt relieved for her, but at the same time, a part of me wondered if there was still something I could have done to fix things. Could I have helped them reconcile? Or was I just as complicit in the mess as Greg? I don't know. I'll never really know. And honestly, part of me doesn't want to know, because I don't think I want to live in a world where I'm still tied to that situation. I don't think I can keep questioning my decisions. But here's the thing, some people say I went too far by trying to intervene. Others think I didn't go far enough. So now, I'm questioning myself. What was my role in all of this? Was I just trying to be a good friend? Or was I enabling Greg's toxic behavior, making it worse for everyone involved? I guess, at the end of the day, I'm still not sure. Maybe you'll have a better idea. Let me know what you think in the comments. Maybe I'm just overthinking everything. Or maybe I should have done more. Either way, I'll never look at friendship or cars the same way again.